Hiya, kiddos. Thanks for joining me on this real special day for a real special book for a real special friend. Barkley and his cousin Huck had a sleepover last night, and I found that a friend of mine that I met on my YouTube channel, Karter's Korners, he had his cousin Kia the Diva over for a sleepover. So I thought I'd read a story that's appropriate for all four of them. And because we've all had a friend that we wish we could hug and we could talk to like we do these guys. And that you could make a wish and someday they'd come and be able to talk to you and all that. Well, that's what our book is. So Karter and Barkley, tell your cousins, dreams do come true. So here we go. It's Pinocchio. One night, long ago, the evening star shone down across the dark sky. Its beams formed a shimmering pathway to a tiny little village whose humble little homes lay deep in sleep. Only one house still had a light burning in the window, and it was that workshop of Geppetto, the kindly old wood carver. He was busily carving a puppet out of wood. At last he is finished, cried Geppetto, as he held the wooden boy high in the air. The only thing left to do now, said Geppetto to the puppet, is to give you a name. That's a tough job. Let's see. I'll call you Pinocchio. That'd be cool, Karter, don't you think? What do you think, Barkley? What a grand name for such a handsome boy, Jiminy Cricket said with a chirp. But Geppetto's happiness soon faded, for deep in his heart, he wished that Pinocchio could be real. See, he has the same wish that we do with our special friends. Yeah. From his bed, Geppetto looked out into the night and saw the bright evening star. Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might have the wish I make tonight. With all his heart, Geppetto wished that Pinocchio were a real boy. Then Geppetto, from his hard day's labors, drifted off to sleep. Just then, a flash of light burst across the sky, and a fairy flew straight from the evening star into Geppetto's house. Good Geppetto, whispered the blue fairy, you have given so much happiness to others. You deserve to have your own wish come true. Then, with a wave of her wand, the blue fairy brought Pinocchio to life. Ooh, see? Dreams do come true, especially in books. Jimmy Cricket watched in amazement as Pinocchio began to walk and talk. Am I a real boy? Pinocchio asked the blue fairy. No, Pinocchio, she answered. First, you must prove yourself to be brave, truthful, and unselfish. You must also learn to choose between right and wrong. But how will I know what's right or wrong? He asked. Your conscience will tell you, said the blue fairy. What's a conscience? Asked Pinocchio. That's the small voice that people don't always listen to, Jiminy Cricket answered with a chirp. Yes, said the blue fairy. She made Jiminy Cricket kneel down before her, and she dubbed him Pinocchio's official conscience. It was his job to see that Pinocchio did only what was right. Then the blue fairy vanished. See? Look at it. Wow. And then there's Jiminy Cricket. He's down there on his knee, yep, just like they do knights, huh? When Geppetto woke up, he could not believe his eyes. My wish came true, he shouted. Pinocchio is alive. Although Geppetto soon realized that Pinocchio was still made out of wood, it mattered little to him. I shall love you just the way you are, he told Pinocchio. Then he explained that Pinocchio must go to school like all boys, and so that very morning, Pinocchio happily set off. Pinocchio hasn't gone far when Gideon, a cat, and a foul fellow, a sly fox, saw him. Foul fellow thought, a wooden boy with no strings. I bet Stromboli the puppeteer would pay a pretty price for him. Foul fellow convinced Pinocchio that acting was in the life for him and told him to go with him to Stromboli's. And then he sold him to Stromboli. Oh no, see, look, they're off after Geppetto just sent him to school to be a good boy. That night, after Pinocchio had performed his rounds of applause, Stromboli locked him away in a cage. How am I ever going to get out of this horrible place, sobbed Pinocchio. Just then a voice called out, Don't worry, Pinocchio, I'll save you. It was Jiminy Cricket. He pulled and pushed and shook the lock, but he just couldn't get Pinocchio out. Suddenly, the blue fairy appeared once more. Pinocchio, why didn't you go to school? She asked. I was brought here by a big green monster who was going to cook me for his supper. He lied. Pinocchio's nose began to grow and grow with every lie. You're lying, Pinocchio, said the blue fairy. Sadly, and it's as plain as the nose on your face. Uh-oh, you got to remember that. What if your nose grew anytime you told a lie? Would you have a long nose, kiddos? Please, give him one more chance, pleaded Jiminy Cricket. I'll make sure he never lies again. One more chance, that's all I'll give you, said the blue fairy, and she set Pinocchio free. He promised never to lie again, and he headed straight for school. But on the way, Pinocchio was stopped, yep, you guessed it, kiddos, by Foul Fellow once more. And where are you going on such a fine day? He said with a sneer. To school, replied Pinocchio. Ha! School is no place for a boy like you, said Foul Fellow. Laughing, if you follow me, I'll show you a place that's much more fun, called Pleasure Island. But wow, Pinocchio didn't learn very fast, did he? No. Don't go, Pinocchio, don't go, warned Jiminy Cricket. But Pinocchio didn't listen, and before he knew it, Foulfeather had sold him to the mean old driver of the Pleasure Island stagecoach. The coach was pulled by 6 very unhappy, ugly-looking donkeys. The coachman went from village to village, buying up all the boys he could. Once the coach was full, he headed to the ferry bound for Pleasure Island. Pinocchio sat beside a loud-mouthed boy named Lambwick. Don't worry about a thing, Lambwick said with a chuckle. Once we get to Pleasure Island, we won't have to listen to anyone or worry about what's right or wrong. I don't know. That doesn't sound right, kiddos. On Pleasure Island, Pinocchio forgot everything the blue fairy had told him. He fought with the other boys. He smoked corncob pipes. He tossed rocks through windows and yelled and screamed with all of his might. Then he followed Lampwick down Tobacco Lane to the pool hall. This is a great place, Lampwick shouted to Pinocchio. But as Pinocchio turned to his friend, he could not believe his eyes. Lampwick had suddenly grown a long pair of ears and a tail. Lampwick had turned into a donkey. Pinocchio felt the top of his head and looked down at yes, behind. He too had sprouted donkey ears and a tail. Now he knew where the coachman got his tired, ugly, sad-looking donkeys. Yep, look at them. They're both turning into donkeys. What do you think, Barkley? Do they deserve that? Huh? Karter, what do you think? Do you think Karter deserves getting a tail if he lies? Or if he fights with other people? I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. Come with me before it's too late, cried Jiminy Cricket, who had quietly followed Pinocchio to Pleasure Island. As fast as they could, Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket ran through the gates of Pleasure Island and jumped off the cliffs into the sea. Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket swam all the way back to the land and rushed to Geppetto's house. But when they arrived, Geppetto was gone. Maybe something awful has happened to him, cried Pinocchio. Just then, a beautiful white dove dropped a note from high in the sky. It's from Geppetto, said Jiminy Cricket, and it says that he went looking for you and was swallowed by a whale named Monstro. He's alive, but he's trapped inside the whale. Uh-oh, now it's looking. See, he's still got his tail and ears, too. Yeah, this isn't going to be easy. I must find him, cried Pinocchio, and Jiminy Cricket leapt into the sea to start their search. Soon they spotted Monstro and got as close as they could to the snoring whale. Suddenly, Monstro opened his eyes and mouth and gulped down the school of fish in front of him. Pinocchio was swallowed along with them inside the whale. And there, what did he see? But Geppetto was fishing. He felt a tug on his line and reeled it in. Pinocchio was at the other end. My son, said Geppetto. I thought I'd never see you again. Wow, look, he tied a rock to him so he'd float down to the bottom. Wow, he's really brave, wouldn't he? I don't know, that'd be scary. I missed you so, Father, said Pinocchio. I've been a bad boy, and I'm sorry. That's all right, my son, said Geppetto. The important thing is for all of us to get out of here safely. I have an idea, cried Pinocchio. Let's build a fire. It'll make Monstro sneeze us right out of here. So they built a fire, and the smoke tickled Monstro's nose till he let out a huge Pinocchio and Geppetto were sent flying out at sea on the raft. But then Monstro came charging after the raft. He wasn't happy at all. Soon Monstro caught up with the raft and splintered it with the one blow of his powerful tail. Geppetto was sinking. Never mind about me, he cried. Save yourself, my son. But Pinocchio swam back to Geppetto, and he helped him stay afloat. Geppetto was washed safely ashore, but Pinocchio did not fare so well. Geppetto found him lying in the water among the rocks, lifeless. Did Pinocchio drown? Oh no. Geppetto took Pinocchio home, and as he wept, a soft voice said, Pinocchio, you've proved yourself brave, truthful, and unselfish. Now you'll be a real boy. Pinocchio moved and blinked his eyes. He was alive and no longer wooden. Geppetto danced in joy, and Jiminy Cricket was happy too. In Pinocchio, he had sure proof that when you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Very good story. And Karter and Kia, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Kia the Diva, and Huck, I wished upon a star sometimes that they'd just be fun and cuddly little puppies too. Come on to our You pages. You go to ProfessorProfit.com and link to my YouTube real easy. Thanks you, kitties, kiddos, and doggies, and all of you. thanks for coming. Come on back anytime. I'm running 24/7. Have a great day, y'all.